I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk? I went, what's going on?
This is Bruce Lee shit.
Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I pulled that sumbitch out, and I beat him over the head with it.
You can't stop us at Beard Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
If he was a girl, you would say he has a badonkadonk.
I'm cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
This is #1 bullshit.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
I'm the man of the hour, Joe. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. I'm the women's pick. I'm the men's regret. And if you win against Chael Sonnen, you made a bad bet. Mandalay Silva. 6 feet tall and 205 pounds. Boy, until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high.
Where you at, McNuggets, you fucking piece of shit? Kick your ass!
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You're listening to the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I know the countdown timer says 42 seconds left, but look, we like to get in there early. We like to finish faster than that, what we said.
Some minor technical issues there going along the way, so we got there.
So we had some slowed down internet here, some broadband issues. And
I'm right back up now again, yeah.
Yeah, we're right up at 6 megabits per second upload, so we're good. We're good.
You might notice there before we begin as well that we have some little MMA goodies. So for those that are following us, we might be doing some giveaways in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. Actually, you might want to hold them up to your own camera there, and let me see, that's your camera. So what's that?
Khabib Pop Doll.
Nice.
You have just little trinkets.
Trinkets.
UFC face masks. Very important.
Yeah.
And then you have,
of course, but sure, coronavirus doesn't exist.
The Notorious. Camera work is shoddy, but that's more me than the camera, I suppose.
Nice.
So we better talk about some news over the weekend.
Yeah, it was we've been on only a couple of days ago, so there hasn't been a whole lot happened since, but a couple of nice ones came up in the meantime now, yeah. So who do you want to talk about first?
I suppose we'll look at next week's main event, the changes there and the implications it has to UFC 256 as well. Mm-hmm. So as everyone knows, Holland came in on relatively short notice, about 3 weeks' notice, to fight Hermanson. Yeah. But has tested positive for coronavirus. Yeah. So Marvin Vettori stepped up, but he was supposed to fight the following week against Jacare at 256. So they're doing a little switcheroo there. Vettori is going to step in on short notice and take on Hermanson in the main event next weekend. And Holland is going to go to UFC 256 main card against Jacare. Now, there's a couple of things with that. Poor old Hermanson now this is his third opponent, and none of those opponents have been what you would call an easy out, or very different styles. They're all strikers, I'll give you that, but they're all very different strikers. Mm-hmm. And fair play to him for taking fight after fight. Whatever's thrown at him, he seems to just get on with it.
Yeah, I suppose if you've got the championship mindset, it doesn't really matter who you're going to face. You're going to have to beat them all eventually. So if he's got that mindset, well, then maybe that's a good sign,
Yeah, I think Marvin's a very tough fight for him, though. Marvin's gritty, good striker. He's decent takedown defense, decent wrestling himself, and a few submission finishes as well, similar to Hermanson. So anywhere this fight goes is going to be a good enthralling battle. I actually really like that fight. And then with Holland, I don't really like the Holland thing being pushed back 1 week. Because we've seen it now a couple of times where fighters have been given a new date and then they test positive again and it's off the card. It's just not fair. Like, fair enough this time, I suppose. Hermanson's not moving, Jacare is not moving. But I just think to be asking fighters to be coming back with the risk of that they still have it in their system, all this, it just seems a bit... Why not give them the extra 3-4 weeks to get it out of their system fully?
Yeah, and as we said before as well, if he's tested positive, like his breathing is going to be off. You know, there's probably going to be a few different symptoms that may kind of may put his performance at risk.
Yeah.
And like 1 week. I mean, like nothing's going to happen in 1 week. The quarantine is not even 1 week.
But look,
14-day quarantine. Like so.
The other side, I've never cut weight. Quite clearly, I've never cut weight. But you would be starting your weight cut a week out, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say Holland has just started his weight cut.
Yeah.
He now has to postpone that for a week and then take it back up a week later. But all this going on as well.
Yeah.
Just strikes me as odd. I understand the Vittori move. Makes sense. Perfect fight. And both guys are ready to go. Both guys are ranked. But why didn't you take Jacare off that 256 card and move it even the first card in January or something like that? It gives them enough time that you're going to be confident that they're going to be getting in there. Like.
Although based on what we've seen from Holland so far this year, he probably didn't. He probably want to get that fifth fight in before the end of the year. You know.
Yeah, I think he was eager to get this.
So he was probably pushing himself, like.
But but you can push. But surely there's someone there with a bit of cop on that said, well, we've been caught twice this year already with coronavirus hitting us on the same fighter in short space of time. Look, hopefully it happens. I know Holland wants to get in there. I'm sure Jacare will be delighted that it's not a switch of date or it's not a massive, massive switch of opponent for him in the sense that he's predominantly a grappler. He wants to take it to the ground and he wants it's a striker he's going in against. And actually Holland probably offers him less on the ground, I would imagine, than Vittori did. So he's probably delighted with that new matchup.
Mm. Yeah, Souza's a tough matchup for anyone. Is he? He's one of these guys that, like, you would imagine he would have been the champ at one point in time and never has been yet. Not in UFC anyway.
I think Jacare was just a little past his best when he came over from Strikeforce. The fact that he's stuck around for this long is mind blowing. I don't think he's ranked at the moment, but and his last few fights he hasn't looked great. So it's just questionable whether he's like you say about mindset, whether it's still there or whether he's fighting for a paycheck or whether he's because I don't think realistically Jacare is making another run at the title.
I don't know. I mean, like he's been unlucky with injury and sickness over the last couple of times. He like. It wasn't he the first one that was tested positive with coronavirus when the UFC started their events in
very possibly.
I think he was one of the first ones anyway. You know, and the other thing as well is about him. I noticed from one of the countdown shows that he's no longer in one of these super gyms anymore. He's in like a kind of a small mom and pop.
So it's all about him.
It's all about him. But smart I don't know. Move. Has he got the training partners then? Do you know?
Yeah,
it's a tough one to. Does he need a training partners anymore? I mean, at his stage now, I mean, he's technically his grappling.
Not a whole pile is going to change technically. Yeah, but he does need bodies.
It's just about staying sharp and about staying.
But he needs bodies and he needs resistance.
Yeah,
that's it. Like you can't expect him to go in against bums and. That it's not going to equate to what he's going to feel on fight night. Then again, look, how many guys have stopped sparring altogether? How many guys have stopped at a high level?
Yeah, so. and most of them guys would be like the guys who are kind of later on in their career, like Jacare. But remains to be seen, isn't it? It's another interesting question that we'll have answered in the next 14 days.
14 days, yeah. Two interesting fights, though. Two very interesting fights. And look, this is actually, excuse me now, this is the 14th main event so far this year that has been pulled for whatever reason. Now, it has to be said, UFC have done a fantastic job at rehashing them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, on Saturday night with Derek Lewis and
Blades.
Curtis Blades. With that falling out so close to the event, you're not going to be able to get anything in there.
Yeah.
Did you see who... Derek Lewis called out.
He called out McGregor, didn't he?
Yeah.
He called out McGregor. And Paul Felder called him out then.
Absolutely.
Paul Felder just said, "I'm ready."
Like for a guy just after losing that opportunity, he's no matter what, the man is entertaining.
He's a character, like.
Yeah, and he just deadpan serious. There's a guy that has been talking shit for how many years.
So
love to know how McGregor took that as well. Like you'd have laughed a little bit and then gone, "Who's this guy? Who the fuck is this guy?"
So talking about McGregor and his arch nemesis has made a move in the promoting business.
Yeah, so like we all know about McGregor Sports Entertainment, but yet to kind of hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's co-promoted and whatever in his own fights, but he's yet to hit the ground running with his own shows. And Khabib looks like he's about to get the jump on him here. A big purchase, $1 million for Guerrilla Fighting Championships. And from what I've been hearing, he's going to rename it Eagle Fighting Championships and put on shows all over the world.
Oh, nice.
Would you a little theory on that as well about?
Yeah, well, does this kind of cement the fact that he's retired? Does it kind of kill the? And the other thing as well is that Dana White talked in a press conference or post scrum, saying that he was going to be helping out an awful lot of smaller promotions around the world, getting them on Fight Pass. So does this mean Khabib's show gets on Fight Pass? Does that
100%? Yeah,
and then does that then kind of rule out the return of Khabib in 2021?
It keeps him close though, doesn't it? It's like you're right there, just give him a little nod. Yeah, you're, like you say, your arch nemesis there. McGregor's parading around with the belt. Do you ever think about coming back in? And
yeah, and then you'd have a big super fight with the two boys in Dallas Stadium, and they have McGregor Sports Entertainment on one side of the octagon, and they have Eagle Fight Championships on the other side.
I don't know would UFC allow that.
They'll never allow it, but let a man dream. Let a man dream.
An undercard of Eagle Fighting Championships or something.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know. Speaking of cards, Tyson versus Judge. Look, I completely jumped on the bandwagon late last night as well. I wasn't going to watch it at all. I jumped on just before the Badu Jack fight. Badu Jack looks like a bad motherfucker as well. Jeez, I've only seen a couple of his fights now, but
no idea who you're talking about.
Light heavyweight. He's a former two-time world champion.
Right,
but
I'll take your word for it.
He's had his run-ins with the law, and he's had a few issues. So he's like, he fought on the Maymac card, and he's kind of been out of the scene since then. But he took on some like journeyman. Jesus Christ! All I can say is it was an 8-round fight. Badu Jack beat him up for 8 rounds, but your man stayed in there.
Was it?
Yeah, but your man stayed in there. Your man had some chin on him. He cut a bit of weight to come down, but he had some chin on him. But that's not important. The one I actually wanted to fight.
None of it was important.
None of it was important. Let's be honest. Yeah.
No, let's be fair to Tyson now.
He did look good.
He looked actually very, very good. I was very impressed with his head movement. I was very impressed with his conditioning.
And he'd still maintained a little bit of that power.
Yeah, definitely. And
those body shots. Oh, jeez.
But I know they weren't supposed to be knocking each other out, but they were definitely trying to knock each other out. Well,
Tyson was trying to fucking put a hole through his sternum, like.
Jones was just looking to survive, from what I could see. I know that's his style. He's kind of like stick and move
in and out. Yeah.
But
and he caught him with a couple of nice lefts they were like no look left hands. Did you see that one in the fourth round, running that way?
I know.
Threw a left hand up.
That's it. It's trying to a brave man to be doing that to Tyson as well, because you don't want to piss him off. And the amount of time that they spend in the clinch as well, where
and
Tyson
you don't want to take your eyes off him.
But the amount of time they spent in the clinch where Tyson is known to be biting ears.
Yeah,
yeah. I know he's like found God and all that now since, like, and he's a vegan or something. I don't know. Is he a vegan? I don't know what he is. I don't follow him at all. But yeah,
he just smokes a lot of weed. That's all. What's his podcast? Baked with Tyson or something like that.
And doesn't he own his own weed company now?
Yeah,
so he has his own farms. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But you could actually see the two sides of Tyson right at the end of the first round. Tyson of old, and maybe this new, more placid Tyson, where he hit him 2 blatant punches after the bell, and I mean, blatant as hell, and then went, "Oh, sorry about that." I'd say for a hug.
Like, just Roy Jones's face there at that point as well is like, okay, are we going? Is this going to happen now? Or and then the hug. Okay, right, there's the hug. But yeah, no, it was interesting. I actually enjoyed watching. Like, I don't watch a whole lot of boxing just because I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. It just doesn't entertain me as much as an MMA fight. But that was entertaining. I liked Tyson still has his head moving. He still has his bob and weave going on. Some good footwork from Roy Jones and some good footwork from Tyson as well to cut angles at different points.
It was very rigid, but he did turn on a swivel quite well when he needed to. Yeah,
yeah, that's just his technique for cutting the angle. He's not like a Lomachenko who does a kind of a skippy step to the side. He more or less kind of just hops to the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see. And like for 2 50-year-olds, man, I hope I'm still moving that fast when I'm 50.
Unbelievable,
unreal. Like,
yeah, and
that's the shape of him as well. Afterwards, like, and the two of them had a great like a nice interview afterwards as well. And showing each other respect.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about the new side of Tyson, definitely the new side of Tyson. He said he's going to do this again, and he's doing it on a humanitarian basis. He's doing like kind of like
a lot. They did give a lot to charity. Apparently.
Yeah, charity events. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. He
still got paid, but he gave a lot of money to charity with it. So can't hold that against the man.
Yeah.
The reason I actually brought up this card, because I know it doesn't really pertain to MMA, but I suppose every MMA fan was watching it, was the nugget in the co-main event. That is Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, I find him intolerable as a person and all his call-outs and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the opponent, I've never seen a worse approach to a boxing fight in all my life. Like, I've watched quite a bit of white-collar boxing, you know, you'd see charity events and stuff like that, and I don't think I've ever seen someone as unprepared for a boxing fight, let alone a pro boxing fight.
Yeah.
But he did get the knockout, and we know how many followers he has, and to come on the mic after and call out Dylan Dennis and Conor McGregor, you're just hoping he gets one of these guys.
I don't know, because I just can't get on board with it at all.
No, well, maybe obviously not McGregor. Look, McGregor's not going to fight a YouTuber, but like a Dylan Dennis.
Dylan Dennis might do.
Dylan Dennis might, like, just go in and shut him up once for all. Otherwise, he's 2-0 now with 2 knockouts. We're going to see this guy every 6 months until he gets one of these fights, fighting a former plumber from some sitcom or something. Do you know what I mean? Who wants to see it? Absolutely
Mario.
Not. Give him one of the guys he's calling out and let them just absolutely destroy him.
And while we're matchmaking the boxers there was talk a couple of years ago of Anderson Silva fighting Roy Jones Jr. I think Anderson Silva versus Mike Tyson would be an interesting one. And again, two guys who are retired. I know Anderson Silva is only just retired, but it would still be interesting.
Makes a lot of sense now.
A lot of people would tune in for that.
Oh,
you know?
100%.
Like if you're trying to think now, okay, so Roy Jones was kind of on the fence as to whether he was going to do it again. He was talking about to his family and what have you. But Tyson was saying, yeah, I'm definitely doing this again. I'm going to do this for another couple of years. So who have we got out there for potential matchups?
This is it. Not
Anderson
that many.
Silva's top of that list. Well, like, on the MMA crossover, Anderson Silva is top of that list.
Like there's a few guys that there was talks about. Holyfield coming back out and fighting him. But Holyfield's nearly 60 years old as well, is he?
I don't know. Yeah, I would imagine.
Maybe he's a little bit younger than Tyson. Either way, like those, you're gonna only have so many of those fights and be able to coax so many of those guys out of retirement if he wants another couple.
Mark
Anderson
Hunt.
Silva, don't put him in there against Mark Hunt.
Mark Hunt and Tyson.
Oh, don't
in a bare knuckle box.
There's no 50-year-old should be taking a punch from Mark Hunt. Don't get me wrong, obviously.
Yeah, but Mark Hunt is in his 40s, isn't he?
I don't care what age Mark Hunt is. He has legit knock you dead power.
But it's Tyson.
Yeah, but Tyson, we have to remember as well, Tyson didn't fight for 15 years. There's a 15-year gap from, like, yes, everyone was looking at it as 2 50-year-olds fighting. The technique was good for 2 50-year-olds fighting. He maintained his power for a 50-year-old. There's always that asterisk. I don't care what age Mark Hunt is. He's been fighting up until quite recently and knocking people out up until quite recently. Yeah, no, that's
I like that one.
I mean,
I like
don't
Mark
get me
Hunt
wrong.
Tyson.
I'll watch it.
That's not a very high threshold what you'd watch.
Yeah, that's true as well. She might as well put him in there against Francis Ngannou and just see how he gets on.
Well, Francis Ngannou's about 50 anyway. He just doesn't know it, isn't he?
Yeah. He's an old boy as well. He's nearly 40, I think. So yeah.
But Anderson Silva, anyway, definitely. Anderson Silva, Mike Tyson, let's get it done.
Makes very good sense. And put Jake Paul and Dylan Dennis as the co-main event on that one. And just let Dylan Dennis, after he knocks him out, armbar him or something.
Do you reckon he'd knock him out, though?
Look,
because like Dennis's striking is going to be suspect as well. Like, yeah, so I don't know.
But I'm sorry, no. This guy's parading around that he's a 2-0 pro boxer. No, you're not. You've had 3 white-collar boxing fights that tagged pro on. Dylan Dennis has been training as a professional fighter for how long? 6 years?
I'd say maybe 3 or 4.
No? Back in 2015, he would have been in McGregor's camp.
Was it that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, doesn't seem that long. I don't know. Yeah. Well, if you're, you could be right. I just my perception or my memory of it isn't as clear as I'd like it to be. But I don't know. See, when you take out all of the rules apart from just punching, you know, when it's just boxing and you have someone
who's a boxer,
yeah, you know, when like, I know Dylan has decent stand up now, like in order to survive long enough to get to a takedown and what have you. But if the end goal of not getting a takedown is, or if the end goal of getting a takedown is completely removed from the rule set, then it kind of levels the playing field. I don't know. I have no idea.
Are you telling me? Are you trying to make a case for Jake Paul beating Dylan Dennis in the fight?
Do you know what? I don't even know who Jake Paul is apart from like I just hear his name over and over again. I begrudgingly watched like the knockout of this fight just because we were coming on here.
Yeah.
But like I've no interest in him, his fight career, nothing. I just don't.
But it's being rammed down. This is my point. It's being rammed down your throat. Whether you like it or not, this is going to be rammed down your throat until he gets one of these lads. Or just say, feed him to one of them now. Let's get this over and done with. And let's find someone who... He called out Jorge Masvidal.
Feed him. Give him.
Masvidal would absolutely murder him.
But don't, like, just give him somebody that's even some way legit as a boxer, and then that'll shut him up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to give him a big name, like...
Give him Badu Jack or someone. Oh, fuck.
What weight class were they fighting at?
So, his opponent was 181 pounds. He was 189.
Okay, so they're kind of welterweights.
Yeah.
Welter middleweight kind of range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Right, let's get back onto MMA here. We're losing the will to live here.
Yeah, before we get into the fights, I do want to touch on the post-fight scrum. You mentioned about it. The little nugget or the little nod towards Yair Rodriguez at the end of it was very strange. Very strange.
I missed this completely, so you're going to have to fill me in on this.
So one of the reporters asked Dana about the possibility of rebooking Yair and Zabit, because they've been matched twice now and both fell through injury. And it's an exciting fight everyone wants to see. But Dana kind of dismissed it as if, oh, well, that won't happen. And they asked why. And he said, have we not announced... He had looked at someone to the side and said, have we not announced this publicly yet? He said, and they said no. So he was like, I don't know why we haven't announced it, but he won't be fighting. And again, he was kind of prodded for more information. He said, look, I haven't released it, but it's nothing to do with us. For me, that's only one thing is USADA. That has complete... Because he was even asked about, did he turn down the fight? And he said... No, well, that would be something to do with me then, wouldn't it? So it's nothing to do with contracts, or unless he's been cut, then you could argue nothing to do with them. If they're cutting a lot of fighters, Yair turned down a good few fights recently. And he was cut before, wasn't he? Cut and then brought back?
Yeah, I don't remember much about his contractual stuff.
Yeah, it struck me as a very strange one. Dana's never... normally so vague. He can be quite vague, but to be so vague but kind of distance himself from a question that much.
Well, to be fair, if you were fighting Zabit, you might take a few vitamins yourself, you know.
Yeah, 100%. All of them.
And this is all allegedly too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, we're 100% speculating. Absolutely no research or information provided for that one. Right,
so let's finally get on to the actual what we're here to record tonight.
The main event.
Let's work our way backwards. So we're going to do the UFC Vegas 15 card, and we're going to start with the main event and work our way back downwards, down through the card. So main event, Anthony Smith, Devin Clark. I kind of have to admit I didn't know much about Devin Clark coming into this. I obviously know Anthony Smith from his previous title fight and being up in the top 10 for quite a while. Didn't expect this type of fight though.
I don't think anyone did. Like the fact that there was so much talk about being bumped up to a 5-rounder, a main event, and for him to just, that's probably why he was pushing it. His whole goal was, I'm getting rid of this fella early, make it a 5-rounder, make it, you know, it's more emphasis on the fight, more everything on the fight.
I wonder, they probably got, well, obviously they got moved to the main event, so they got paid more for that.
Oh, they would have done, yeah.
But would they get a further bump in pay because it's a 5-round as opposed to a 3-round? And maybe, as you say, like, you know,
Paul Felder, who we know has recently taken a 5-round fight on short notice, insinuated that during the commentary that taking a 5-round fight, they're going to get paid more.
Okay.
So I
it's
would
a
assume
no-brainer,
so, yeah.
In that regard, you know.
Could have just been the Felder case because he took it on such short notice and he wasn't even training for a fight. You don't know. But I would imagine the fact that they're stepping up and
makes sense
event,
anyway.
Yeah,
and if you're paid by the minute,
yeah,
paid by
Jesus
the second,
Christ,
paid
he was
by the
paid
punch.
well.
So yeah, a quick finish or quick fight. Obviously Devin Clark coming out like a bat out of hell, big right hand over the top, and he was the one that we were all kind of expecting to be taking the fight to the ground.
Yeah,
Anthony Smith felt the power, decided, I'm taking none of that, standing up and gonna take it to the ground. It was a lovely takedown as well for the body lock. He cut the corner really, really nice. So he got double unders, and then just before he actually did the trip, he zipped to his right. So he got perpendicular to Devin Clark, and then dropped him back over his thigh. Then really, really slick takedown. Straight into side control, and sure it was all downhill from there really.
But the one thing I would say, I was quite impressed with Clark to explode up out of that original takedown and get the top position. I know it wasn't very technical, but he timed it perfectly. He exploded up.
That's
but just fell into a trap because Smith's guard is lethal.
And I had forgotten that he had good jiu-jitsu off his back as well, but because you were used to seeing him now knock out people for the last few fights, or for the last, we say, 5 or 6 fights before his last 2 losses. But yeah, the thing about wrestlers as well, though, that's why you don't really use side control on wrestlers in that top position. They're just too explosive. I mean, wrestlers are just a lifelong trained to get off their back.
Yeah,
and that side control position that Smith had. You're better off in half guard, better off going somewhere else other than side control. As soon as the lads get an underhook at all there, they're coming up, you know, and they're going to time those bridges, and it's going to be very hard to control them. But yeah, I mean, fair play to me, he had that triangle locked in and took a risk going to the side as well. He took a few hammer fists. You know, it does tighten up the triangle to go off to the side and cut that angle and finish it off like that. But
he took a few shots.
He took a few shots, and there could have been a few stiff elbows there as well. Had Devin Clark kind of maybe pushed the boat out a bit on the striking, you know. But it was tight. He was locked in. Interestingly,
as well, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about someone, I can't remember who it was, headlining a card in the new year, possibly headlining a card in the new year, and thereafter 2 headline cards losses, that it would be the first person.
Thiago Santos,
he'd be the first person to lose 3. I didn't realise when they were bumped up to the main event, Smith has lost his last 2 fights in the main event. So
have they fought yet? Thiago Santos and
don't believe so, no.
I think they were on opposite sides of the bracket coming all the way up.
Yeah.
2 very similar type of stories as well, like guys that are kind of knockout artists, kind of picking off the top guys, like you had Rashad Evans there, was knocked out by Anthony Smith, and who else? He took out Shogun as well. I think both of them took out Shogun, didn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be an interesting one for the future.
Smith took out Rashad Evans, didn't he?
Yeah, Smith. Yeah, he took him out with a knee and a knee in the clinch very early on, first round again. Yeah,
and that, like, he didn't look fantastic at 85. It was the move up, and all of a sudden, then he looked like a world beater until obviously Jones fight. But yeah, very impressed with him.
Co-main was the welterweight fight, right?
Yes,
the Caramel Thunder, and Takashi Sato.
Yeah. Ooh, holy shit! Beza looks like a new star.
Exactly, yeah.
What I would say, round 1 was quite tentative, but Beza's kicks kind of took the round for me.
Yep,
His
100%.
kicking game was very good, and he was kicking everywhere. Teeps to the body, leg kicks, threw a few high. Just had him constantly kind of on the outside, wondering should he come in or not.
Mm-hmm. And he landed a solid knee in the clinch as well. That actually split Sato's eye just under the right eye. He had
a big right hand after it. Yeah.
And then the finish was probably even more impressive. The fact that he was winning so I mean, okay, it wasn't domination, but it was decisively. He was decisively winning the striking.
Yeah, definitely.
And then still decided to take it down and get the finish anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of scary.
The only thing I'd say is that kind of a negative for Sato. It did look like a relatively easy takedown. There wasn't much resistance, and even the transition into mount looked a little bit easy for Beza.
Beza's a judo black belt, isn't it? He's not a jiu-jitsu black belt. I think he is a black belt in something. I think it's judo.
Jiu-jitsu. No?
You could be right. I think I heard someone say judo black belt. But yeah, I mean, definitely showed his credentials in the grappling exchanges anyway. He was very very patient. Yeah. In when he hit that mount position, he was in 3/4 mount.
Yeah.
And you saw him put his head under the armpit, and he was just literally just looking. He wasn't throwing any strikes. His corner was calling for him to go back to the mount and to let go of the strikes, and you could see he heard it.
Yeah.
And he chose to ignore it, and he just literally, there was a point there where for about maybe 10 or 15 seconds where he was just holding, and you could see his eyes were looking across, and he was like, right, is he going to go this way? Is he going to go that way? I'm chilling. I have this round well won. And if he goes this way, I have the finish. And he just, it shows a lot of intelligence, a lot of a good fight IQ.
Yeah.
Okay, so he got the finish. His interview afterwards as well, he showed a lot of personality, which we know from, this is the fight business, the entertainment business. He's got the skills, he's got the looks, and he could talk.
Yeah. And calling his shot as well, saying he wants a top 10 next. Not a lot of guys go out there and actually demand a top 10 or top 15. Some do when they get right on that cusp. But to be this, I wouldn't say this early in, it is early in. Was he, I think it's his second outing in the UFC?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But either way, a very, very impressive start to his UFC career. And to be just saying, right, I know where I'm supposed to be. Let's get there straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very impressed with him. The next one you were hot on, and everyone else was hot on, and I just didn't enjoy it all. I thought it was a sloppy fucking. I thought it was a sloppy mess.
I loved it, but then I have a vested interest in heavyweight fights at the moment. Anyway, with Ryan coming up, I'm very much studying a lot of the fighters, because I believe that over the next 3 to 4 years that we're gonna have to fight 1 or 2 of these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would give you, it was quite sloppy in that it was 2 fat heavyweights.
By the way,
winging.
Before we get into any kind of breakdown, I just want to point out right from the off, maybe this put me off, but right from the off, Porter's titties were bouncing and they were putting me off quite a bit.
Well, yeah, you're quite easy to distract with titties.
They were bouncing. They were literally up and down. I was like, what is going on here?
Well, to be fair, he did have the biggest titties of the night.
I question that. Rachel Ostovich, maybe.
Well, I was going to say that would be quite a feat on the same card as Rachel Ostovich, but he definitely did have the biggest cups.
They were big, yeah.
Fair play to him. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they were sloppy. Yeah, I give you that. However, Parker Porter kept his hands up the entire time. Yeah. This is where a lot of heavyweights get caught is they come in swinging power because they know that one shot that they land can change the whole thing. But a lot of heavyweights are too confident in their shot landing and not as much respectful of the shot that could come in the opposite direction. Yeah. And Parisian was playing that game where he was just basically hanging back and he was
waiting
letting
for the strike.
Yeah. And every time he threw that big shot, which would ordinarily rock the other person if they had their hands down, Porter just had his hand high enough, you know, and that was the bit that impressed me overall. Apart from that, I mean, he showed good accuracy in his striking, even though they weren't like super snappy fast. They were landing. He had a good selection of shots. He was mixing up with the leg kicks. He's got his takedowns. He had top control. He showed a good overall. He was someone that I wasn't impressed with in his previous fight because he got knocked out in the first round with a knee to the head or something.
Maybe that's dictated the hands being up and.
Well, and also I didn't realize that he had taken that fight on 2 weeks' notice and had cut 35 pounds.
Whoa.
In order to make the 265 limit.
Christ.
So this time, obviously, he rounded off the boobies a little bit and got himself a little closer to.
He was quite a bit under, I believe. I think he was 250 something. I think he might have been 10 pounds under.
Well, that's even more impressive that he was so far out of shape for that original fight,
Yeah.
But Parisian still looked dangerous all the way to the end. All the way to the end, he was throwing spinning back fists, which is his kind of signature thing. And any as a heavyweight, we know Rosenstrike and Alistair Overeem, one punch on the last 10 seconds could change the whole fight, and it had that kind of tension right to the end, all the way as well.
Yeah, look, my take on it, I will say the Porter striking was good, and even when he got him to the mat, he good ground and pound. He never kind of let up. I'll give you that. Even though he did look gassed, he never let up massively with the striking.
Yeah.
But when everyone talks about a good fight, in my head, I think back and forth. Fair enough, one guy can be really dominant to put on a clinic. I don't think it was quite a clinic.
No.
But at the same time, I don't think Parisian gave enough for this to be a good fight. I think all he showed was toughness. He was sloppy striking. I think Porter just kind of touched him up in the second and third round. Round one was close.
Mm-hmm.
And then Parisian looked like he was out on his feet after that.
So I was looking at the judges' scorecards afterwards. One judge gave it it was a unanimous decision to Porter.
Porter, yeah.
30-26 for one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one.
At all.
30-27 for the second judge. That's where I had it. And then 29-28. So somebody gave Parisian the first round.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
I had a 30-27 as well, but the first round was close.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. 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 And as you said, they were both tired. I could see that. They were. I think Parisian looked far more tired than Porter. But and what you touched on is even though they were tired, the pace kept going for the whole 15 minutes. They didn't at no point were the two of them standing in the middle of the cage with their hands on their thighs. Do you know what I mean? They just kept going.
Parisian wasn't a million miles off a couple of times. Will you stop? Parisian at one stage just rope-a-doped him with his hands down on the cage. He just decided, look, I'll get punched in the face and I'll get my win back. Yeah. Look, everyone seemed to enjoy the fight. Maybe it's just me.
No, I liked it. I liked that one.
I really enjoyed the fight before it.
The featherweights,
of
course,
unbelievable.
Your was it
my crazy buddy, the ginger ninja, as I call him.
What he's
the alpha ginger.
The alpha ginger. Yeah, the alpha.
No, the
alpha ninja. No, the alpha ginger.
Alpha ginger, and I call him the ginger ninja.
Yeah, ginger ninja.
There's a better name. You should change it up.
What's his name? Paul Felder was offering to give him some conditioning for ginger lessons afterwards. It was kind of like the story of it. Well, he has to gas. Look at the fucking cut of him. He's cut out of marble. He's just ripped to death and so heavily muscled.
If he lost a bit of muscle mass, he could, the height of him, he could easily be fighting a bantamweight. He's not that. Algio towered over him, and Algio's a scrawny featherweight.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the reason.
Just so much muscle mass. It's unnecessary in the lower weight classes, I think, unless you're a dominant wrestler. And clearly he's not, because Algio's scrambles were phenomenal.
Oh, Algio showed his IQ of getting out of different positions was unreal.
Yeah.
And the timing at which he scrambled as well was very impressive. So there, when it comes to getting taken down or getting dominant positions, there's certain there's certain times where it's like, okay, you can scramble, and then there's a point where you reach diminishing returns, and then you just gotta accept a position and start escaping from there. Yeah. And then there's other times where people accept too early and don't scramble enough.
Yeah.
Or they scramble too soon and just don't get that timing quite
and
right.
Give away a worse position.
Exactly. Yeah. And Algio just had the timing spot on every single time. Every time it was the time to go, he went. It was the time to accept, he accepted. And if it was the time to defend, he defended. It was really, really impressive to watch.
That bulldog choke in the first round.
Close.
That was
very, very tight.
So close. That in itself, to show that level of calmness, or to be able to slowly turn out of that, because that's holding your breath for at least 20 seconds.
Yeah, and he was making some gurgling noises as well, which happened in the Dana White Contender Series during the week, where Mark Goddard stopped the fight due to hearing gurgling noises.
He thought it was snoring, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. But oh Jesus, man! Like, I've made some fucking weird noises when I've been choked in the past. I've made noises like a goat giving birth to a fucking a sheep or something. You know,
the fact that you know what that sounds like worries me, but yeah.
Well, I am from Farnry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he like that was tight, and that's where the thickly muscled arms come into, like, that bulldog choke becomes tighter with someone with big biceps. And his bicep was jammed right into that Adam's apple. Yeah. I don't know how he survived that one, to be honest.
Tell me, because you know more, I want to have a clue. So the fact that his arms are a little bit shorter, huge bicep, huge shoulder, like his pinch must just naturally be
horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
That's what I had in my head. I was like, it just looks like a horrible place to be.
Yeah. And he was he did the right thing where he was reaching over. So a lot of people would catch the elbow and try and push it up. Like up over the chin and try and release the pressure on the neck. What he was doing is he was reaching up to the wrist and pulling the wrist down towards his chest.
Yeah.
So he was taking the pinch back in another direction. You know, just again, we said it multiple times already. You know, he's just the IQ he showed, the grappling pedigree, outstanding.
And I know we've said it over and over again, but we have to say it now every time the guy looks really impressive. Brendan Loughnane looks better every time this guy gets in there.
Okay. Oh yeah. So this is the yeah. I've forgotten that again.
Like every time this guy goes in there and shows up and puts on a performance like that, it's furthering the case for Brendan Loughnane to be brought in.
Absolutely, 100%.
The fight before that, by the way, I just have Matrix shit written down. Dumont.
Yeah, she two big girls. I know they were bantamweights, but they looked huge, even though Ashley Evans Smith was coming up from flyweight.
Yeah, she never should have been making flyweight.
How the hell did she make flyweight?
Dumont would never make flyweight. That's the other side of it. Not in a million years.
Yeah.
Her legs are huge.
Well, she didn't even make bantamweight.
Yeah,
she missed weight.
Very
so,
true as well, yeah, 2 pounds.
But like of the two, it looked like Ashley Evans Smith's was actually bigger.
Yeah.
But when it came to a battle of strength, Dumont definitely overpowered Smith. Now there was something, I don't know whether you heard afterwards in the scrums, because I didn't watch any of the post-fight interviews, but the commentary team were mentioning that Ashley Evans Smith had mentioned that there was something bothering her coming into the fight, and she wasn't going to mention it until after the fight, whatever the hell that was.
I don't care. I really don't care. I literally, Evans Smith, look, she's had some good fights, she's had some bad fights. Dumont came in to the UFC, was 0-1 after a horrible knockout to Megan Anderson. I mean, the commentators were getting on her case that she wasn't going in for the kill and that she was very methodical. Like, this is what I have written for Dumont. Matrix defense in the first round and landed at will, and a good takedown to seal the round. Great top pressure in round 2. Great counter strikes, not just counter strikes, but counter combinations. Clearly won the second round. And then round 3, back to Matrix shit. She, like, in my eyes, it was about as clean a performance as you could possibly give. And the fact that she was only 4-1 coming into this 6th pro fight, I think she's going to be a proper contender at 35, a division that doesn't have them.
Yeah.
Evan Smith had something wrong with her. I don't think it would have made a difference if she came in there.
Yeah.
Full health.
But she didn't wrestle at all, like.
at all, which
she
is
didn't
her
shoot
game.
for any takedowns.
I'll give
which
you
is
that.
Weird, like.
But Dumont looked just like a phenom, being able to throw her off much stronger and much more elusive. She was able to avoid everything Evan Smith came forward with. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe a full health Evan Smith, and it's a different fight, but I don't think it's a very different fight.
Yep, I don't know enough about the two girls to comment any further than that, but yeah. We had a featherweight fight before that as well. Jonathan Pierce and Kai Kamaka.
Mm-hmm. I was a bit surprised on this one.
Yeah, a lot of heat coming in with Kai Kamaka coming from Hawaii.
Yeah. And he's just looked impressive this year. He's been 2-0 the year so far up to this point, and has looked impressive.
Yeah,
Pierce, though.
Very close first round. What did I have? I'm just looking through my notes because I can't remember the fight. Even though I only watched it like 2 hours ago. Yeah, I tell you, there's something wrong with my memory, and I haven't taken that many shots over my career. Like.
I had Kamaka just edging the first round. Just more so the fact that there was more pressure. Pierce looked a tiny bit hesitant in the first round, just trying to get a read on him, whereas Kamaka was kind of bringing the fight to him in the first round. But that switched up immediately at the start of the second round.
Yeah. Pierce is dominant in the second.
Yeah. Comes out way quicker, gets takedowns flattened out, and properly flattened out. He could go nowhere. I thought it was a little bit of an early stoppage, though.
Can't remember now.
He had him flattened out, but Kamaka was just after turning onto his side. He was still trying to get out of the position. He wasn't taking like life-changing shots. I would have liked to just seen it go a little bit longer to see if he could get out of it. But saying that, Kamaka can have no real argument. He was in an uncompromising position.
Well, that's usually that's all. Usually, you really kind of need to look at is the fighter disputing the stoppage afterwards, or not, you know. And I don't remember him disputing.
No, he didn't really. It was just in my eyes. I think he could have given him another 30 seconds. Well, 10 to 20 seconds maybe.
Yeah. There was a back attempt or a back take at the start of the second round, and Kamaka did this funky kind of like escape. I thought he was at the breaking his ankle.
That was nuts.
I thought he was at the breaking his own leg. I don't know how he didn't.
Did he essentially just somersault out of it?
Do you know what? I'm too squeamish to look back on it.
Yeah.
I just don't want, because if I look back the second time, he might break his leg the second time.
Yeah. You wouldn't have broken legs. Can't be hacking it.
Yeah, no, I'm very squeamish about broken legs. I don't know what it is. I can watch arms all day long, but just don't give me a broken leg. I can't. I don't know what it is.
Do you have your legs broken?
No, never had my legs broken. I took someone's back at one stage. I had a body triangle locked in, but it wasn't all the ways across my shin. It was on my foot, and the other person stepped over and bridged in, and I heard like 3 or 4 pops all along my ankle. That was as close. So back in the day when I was doing a lot of stunt work, I did my ankle a few times, all right. But
and just before we move away from that, someday we are going to have to get into all the stunt work that you were doing. I believe
a highlight reel.
I was just going to say, I believe there's some footage lying around as well.
There's definitely footage. There's some weird footage of me up on the internet, boy.
I've seen a couple of your short movies, all right.
Yeah, I should probably do a campaign on having a lot of that stuff scrubbed.
No, definitely not. Character building stuff.
So bantamweights before that, we had Martin Day and Anderson Dos Santos. So I'm just trying to quickly read my notes on this as well.
Oh, like I said coming into this that it was a close fight, loser leaves town. They're both 0-2 in the UFC, and that the only reason I was picking Dos Santos, because I didn't know a whole pile about either of them, is just based on his record and who he'd fought pre-UFC and the more experienced opponent, and it looked as if he just had more to offer everywhere.
Yeah, so Martin Day, it's a guy. He comes. He had. He looks like he's fighting, or his heritage is Japanese in some description. There's some sort of Japanese description coming, or heritage coming in there. Taekwondo black belt.
Yeah.
You could see that he was the quintessential striker that has like not a high enough level of grappling to survive at this level. That's just what it kind of it kind of seemed to me. He was out of his depth when it came to wrestling and jiu-jitsu. He was doing things that they were the correct things to do, but his timing and his fluency just wasn't there. And against Dos Santos is obviously a black belt I heard one of the
black belt in jiu-jitsu,
black belt in jiu-jitsu, and you could see even just as he got the takedown and he slapped on a crossface there, and it was almost like a shoulder strike in itself. Like, and I was like, oh my god, that's going to be heavy. That's going to be really, really heavy. And if you're not, I mean, I don't know what belt level Martin Day is at. Possibly purple belt.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know. He might be higher than that, but he looked like he was
out
years behind. Yeah. Years behind in grappling, and that would be something that'd be very worrying. Something that I mean, if this was a loser leaves town fight, then definitely he needs to go and build that side of his game if he's going to make another run
on the
UFC.
mats, like 100%. Yeah, look, he's 0-3 now in the UFC. I'd be very surprised if he got given another opportunity. Being finished as well, and you're kind of, and with such an important fight being finished in the first round, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
And again, I got you were touching on his grappling there, and when he did get up from the first takedown and landed his own takedown, there was very little technique to it. It was just raw explosion. And even the takedown, he kind of went in on the takedown, and it felt like Dos Santos just gave it up because he knew the guillotine, he had his arm around the neck. And
it wasn't even on. The guillotine wasn't on until Martin Day stopped moving.
Yeah.
So Dos Santos had his arm wrapped around the head, but he didn't have the opposite hand joined. And that takes time. And I mean, you normally don't get that second hand joining if you don't get it before the takedown.
Yeah.
So, but because they just basically sat in the guard and went into a tripod position, didn't effectively fight the hands, didn't fall to the opposite side, didn't try and pass the guard to the opposite side. There were so many different things that he could have done. A more seasoned grappler would have automatically started fighting the hands as they went to the ground, and that's what I mean. It was just just
he never looked
just
to step over to the other side. Anything,
no. So unfortunately, I mean, sometimes it comes too soon for some guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's young. Like he is. He seems young. I can't remember what his age was, but he looked young anyway.
About 27 or 8.
Yeah. So there's time for him to kind of maybe take a step back, maybe go on the local regional scene for another couple of years, and then come back again as maybe a 29, 30-year-old and have another run in it. There's a few of the lads that have been fighting over the last couple of nights, last couple of cards that are on their second run.
UFC stints, yeah.
Sean Strickland being one of them.
Yeah, we've Matt Wyman coming up this
month.
Matt
Wyman, my God, coming up next week. That was a blast from the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who do we have before that? We had a flyweight.
Yeah, Mazany and Ostovic.
Great fight.
Your boo.
My boo.
By the way, she did show off her flexibility in between rounds as well.
Hugely.
Oh,
Jesus.
My Lord above.
Yeah, that was very, very good.
Yeah, I messaged Liam as well during the week after the podcast. I was watching it back, and I just noted that early on in the podcast, Liam was talking about Faraz Sahabi and mentioning that something he said might be a bit sexist. Half an hour later in the podcast, he's talking about buying into OnlyFans on Rachel Ostovic.
Yeah, hypocrite. What kind of a hypocrite?
We're in no position to be calling anyone sexist on this podcast, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, look, let's talk.
We're only playful misogynists. That's all it is.
But like Ostovic was extremely impressive in her toughness and in her ability to get up off the floor, like when she was badly mounted and taking like severe, like savage elbows. She was in some tough spots. Took some heavy ground and pound and just fought right to the end. But you can't take anything away from Gina Mazany. An absolutely masterful performance from bell to bell.
And those teeps at the end. Ooh. They looked horrible. Horrible. Just snapping. Two of them right in the exact same spot as well.
I actually thought she kicked her in the gooch first.
Oh, jeez. which probably would have even been worse, but...
Yeah, but that's... Like, it looked like a cup shot.
Yeah.
Like there was the same reaction,
Yeah.
Like if a guy got kicked like that, that's the reaction. Like she literally doubled over.
I'm sure if a girl got kicked like that, and
100%, it's the same thing. But you know, no, like when you look back in the replay,
placement was perfect.
Perfect. It was a toe puck.
Yeah.
Right in, like literally into the liver, like.
Yeah, and it was just the fact that to land the second one, basically the exact same place. Yeah,
what was funny as well is
vicious.
when they went back to the commentary booth afterwards as well, they were talking, and it was Michael Chiesa and Walt Harris.
Yeah,
Walt Harris just got the same treatment from Alexander Volkov only a couple of weeks ago. Exact same kick. Remember that?
Yeah,
heavyweight bout.
Did you mention it?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he was like, "I know how that feels," and they were all like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that." Don't mention Noir.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, extremely. And she that was her cutting down from bantam to flyweight, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
She looked ripped.
Yeah.
Ripped.
Best she's looked by a long stretch in the UFC so far.
Mm-hmm. And like the fact that she actually out wrestled Ostovic, and now Ostovic is like primarily a wrestler.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that she was one of those rare athletes that did both cheerleading and wrestling as a high school athlete. So that was kind of
I can see the cheerleading.
Yeah,
maybe not so much the wrestling. Although saying that her scrambles were phenomenal
awesome.
during it. Yeah.
Awesome, very impressive. Like that was the fight of the night for me, I think.
Oh, see, I'm on the fight then, the Aljo Carlisle fight. I just thought that was fantastic.
The Aljo. You did, yeah.
What I will say is though, we talked about a couple of times now, a couple of different fighters using just power and explosion to get up. Like her scrambles were technical scrambles, phenomenal.
Yeah. No, very impressive all the way through. Yep. And like the thing as well is, but sometimes you get like pretty girls like that, and they're afraid to take
punishment.
Damage. Yeah, you know? She was in a mounted position, and she was getting like Mazzani was dropping elbows. Like they were like I all I could think of was the fight from Invicta there during the week. Kayla Harrison.
Oh yes.
And the elbow, like the damage that those elbows did, and it was same position. Like literally could have ended her modeling career. You know, with those elbows. She didn't even flinch. Yeah. She just kept scrambling, got back up, and unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It was actually, to be honest, it seemed a bit harsh for. Look, she was losing the fight. She was always going to lose the fight for it to be taken away from the judges so late.
Yeah.
She'd done enough to get to that bell, and I know. Look, it's not a victory, but there is somewhat of a moral victory in there. Maybe not for every fighter, but I think.
Yeah, not to be finished. Yeah,
exactly,
nobody wants to be finished, and nobody wants to be finished with a body shot either. That's like, you know, that's unfortunately. But geez, I think she'd have dropped the donkey with those kicks. Like, being honest, like.
But as well, I see. Look, Felder was talking about this, and the commentary. He said, "They're those shots that it might seem like it's a slow reaction, and it's you know, oh, I'm going down because I'm hurt." But he was saying it's completely involuntary. You can't help but double over from the pain you get from those kicks.
Yep.
I've never got one that bad or anything close to that I've felt that I immediately need to go down. But
yeah, no, I've got a few liver shots. All right, not from kicks, but from basically left uppercuts to the body, and just on that side, it's the liver side. It's just I don't know what it is about it. It's just I completely agree. It's not a willpower thing anyway.
Oh, you're just your body just goes no.
It's exactly. It's like just rebooting the whole system. Like it's horrible. So we had
Sumo
Dergi. Yeah. I'm reminded of the Anderson Silva debut when he took out
Chris
Lieben, yeah. Like the accuracy, that like four left hands straight down the pipe. And Malcolm Gordon is like, he's no pushover, comes from TKO through Canada. That's the same promotion that gave us George St. Pierre and David Loiseau and Mark Hominick. Yeah. You know, so there's like that's a serious pedigree coming through there, and he had a lot of finishes on his record as well. So it's not by no means a pushover. Like, it wasn't an easy fight for Sumajeri, but the accuracy was frightening.
Yeah, that left hand is just money. Like he's going to be trouble for anybody, because you're not even going to come in for a takedown when you're on the outside eating those left hands, and he's so long as well.
Long. That's the big thing, is the range.
So long.
And
Gordon never got within 2.5 feet of him.
Yep. And the other thing as well is that he hit him with the straight left.
Yeah.
Had Gordon kind of wobbled, but it was he hit him. There was a left hand right hook afterwards.
Yeah.
I think it was a right hook, but it was his hip turn on the hook.
Yeah.
Like picture perfect boxing technique, you know. And when somebody is able to throw those technical kind of, it was a technical strike, but it's not just a technical strike. It is getting it picture perfect. It's getting a punch out, a textbook, when your opponent is on the way to the ground.
Yeah.
The excitement, the adrenaline, nothing took from his technique.
Yeah.
So that's high level striking, you know. Like anybody can throw a nice technique on the pads.
Yeah. But to land over and over again. Where do you say that? Because I know I'm raving about the Demont girl now, but the counter combination she threw late in the third round reminded me of when Conor knocked out Eddie Alvarez.
Okay, yeah.
It was a 4-punch combination. Evan Smith turned to move away, and everyone landed. But it's that kind of, it's a different level of striking. To be able to see punches as the body's moving away from you, scary stuff.
The other thing as well is Malcolm Gordon looked out of it for like minutes after that knockout.
And I just thought it was very weird the way he went down. I'm not saying he threw himself down, because I believe that he was just badly see,
Yeah.
but the way his body went down,
Yeah.
it was just, it was
Well, his legs gave way, definitely. I think
very unnatural.
The straight, straight shots don't tend to knock people out. It's usually the hooks. It's the ones that make your head spin. Those are the ones that generally cause the knockouts. But he was definitely hurt really bad. I imagine he may have broken his nose.
Yeah.
He may have heard something crack. You know, it looked to me as though he was like almost scared of how much damage was after being done to his face, and he kind of curled up a bit. But in the interim, he also got wobbled.
He definitely got wobbled, yeah.
Yeah, because he got up, he was 100% concussed.
Yeah.
Like his eyes were glazed over. He when they went to bring them into the center for the referee to hold both of their hands, he couldn't walk a straight line. Jesus. He was out of it.
I didn't see that, no.
Oh, he was gone.
It reminded me a little bit of, did you see the Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce fight?
No.
Boxing as well on Saturday night. Heavyweight boxing. These are supposedly the next two big contenders coming out of the UK. But Joe Joyce finished him in the 9th round with a jab.
Okay.
But it was repeated work, obviously.
Yeah.
But what happened was the jab hit the eye quite hard, and the eye had basically closed up completely.
Right.
And it was that he took a beat, like went to look at him and realised he couldn't see him, and then took a knee. And it felt a little bit similar to that. I do believe he was wobbled, but he realised how hurt he was, how wobbled he was, and then just went.
Self-preservation kicked in. Like yeah. No, I get that. No, I definitely, I thought he kind of covered his face as he was on his way to the floor as well, which usually means there's some facial damage done, either a broken orbital or a broken nose, or like I've been punched in my we say debut amateur fight. I remember being punched from the mount straight down, and I heard a bone in my face crack.
Cheekbone.
Like just to the no, not cheek. It wasn't up here on the cheek. It was kind of like more to the side of the bridge of my nose.
Yeah.
And I just heard something crack there, and it was like it's at times like okay, like if you're in a kind of a 50-50 position, and you think, right, okay, just grin and bear, you can still win this. But like you're on a one-sided whooping, and there doesn't seem to be any. It's times like that where you say, do you know what, enough's enough. I want to live tomorrow. I want to go back to work tomorrow. Or I want to, I want to be able to look at my kids or whatever, you know. Maybe it was something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, Suma Derji.
Yeah.
Looks a contender.
It looks like a contender. Looks like
Very
somebody
much
that's hopefully his grappling holds up. Yeah.
Impossible to tell yet.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of those flyweights are coming from wrestling backgrounds. You know, there's an awful lot of those alpha male guys. You've got obviously the former champ Henry Cejudo. You've got Figueiredo, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Yeah, Benavidez. So there's a lot of. Hopefully, it's just he's not just a striker. He's got some. But
even at that, I just think the length and the distance and how well he manages it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a nightmare for anyone.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
So the opening fight on the card, was this the one that you messaged me saying these boys are swinging? I think it was.
These boys are swanging.
That was a great start to the fight.
That first round, Sanders just started off with some beautiful calf kicks. I mean, started piecing up the calf, and Maness went, no, this isn't going to be one of those fights anyway where I just eat these up all day, and the two of them put their chins down and went for it. Very, very impressed. And I was impressed in the first round with Maness's chin. Like, for me, this is a comeback fight. Maness looked like he was wobbled a couple of times in that first round. And then just the second round, Sanders swarming, clipped him again. And I think he had him clipped a couple of times again. And then he got clipped himself.
Yeah.
But, phenomenal fight.
Well, Sanders was looking like he was kind of instigating the exchanges and then coming off the worst.
Yeah,
even though he was landing more power, or he was throwing more power at least.
He was bringing the violence, but your man was plenty violent with him.
Yeah, I was. I don't know if some of the listeners or viewers will remember. There's a video clip. Every time I heard the commentators saying Maness, all I could hear was there's actually a clip. I can't remember which commentator. It's the Aussie guy. Is it Mike Schiavello? He does an awful lot of the
fellow you were calling The Voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was commentating. There's a clip on YouTube. I'd have to dig it out somewhere now, but there's a clip on YouTube of a fight way back, and the guy's surname was My Anus. But it was the whole the fight went the distance, and it was Schiavello was like, "Oh, my anus is taking a pounding." It was just all the whole fight. Was, all I could think of when they were talking about Maness was that's all I could think of.
Someone's got to say it, yeah.
It's gonna slip out. But there you go. So that was a great start to the card. Couple of hits and misses throughout the card. I thought it was good overall.
Mostly a good card though, considering there was one ranked fighter left on the card.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of guys,
and we were questioning whether that should be a rank. At this stage, Anthony Smith still at number 6 after losing 2.
But then again, I suppose he kind of proved himself a little way. So we'll see what's next. And next week similarly, it's a card of not big names, more contenders, more guys that are kind of trying to breach those rankings.
Yep.
So look, hopefully we get I think it was 2 decisions. Is that all?
I didn't do that stat now.
Yeah, 2 decisions in 10 fights?
Yeah, it was 10 fights on the card. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. Everyone wants to see finishes and a nice little mix between. There was actually probably more submissions than there was TKOs, KOs. So a very enjoyable card for me.
So we have a couple of cards on this week that we'll be maybe previewing later on in the week. Obviously, we've got UFC Vegas 16, which is that fight that you're talking about. No, it's not Vegas 16, is it? Or is it?
It's Vegas 16, Hermanson and Vittori.
But you've also got Gary Tonin fighting over on one championship. There's an LFA fight in there also. I'm not sure is there any of the other cards on, but there's certainly a lot to be looking forward to in this week.
Definitely.
So where are we going? Are we going Thursday or Friday?
We'll aim for Thursday evening.
We'll aim for Thursday evening. So
my crowd at work are currently building a kitchen, and I got to clean up after them. So we'll aim for Thursday evening. Less said about that, the better.
Perfect. Well. Let's stay tuned on the pages anyway, guys. We've got the MMA opinion page. Shout out to anybody who's watching in from there. And obviously Blood and Bandage MMA podcast pages on both Twitter and Facebook. Keep watching in because we will post whenever our next broadcast is going to be.
And watch out for the giveaways.
Yeah, what are you going to do for giveaways? What are you going to do, like a picks competition or?
So we're going to be going live at the end of the year as we're doing now, but it's going to be an end of year award show. So we're going to give them all away in those cards, but we're going to put up a few Easter eggs maybe for people to win them before that show. If you're going to be watching before then, if not, we'll be giving them away on that show at the end of the year.
Sweet. I suppose that's it. Have we any other news? We've nothing else to cover, do we?
No. All good. Looking forward to the week's fights. Excellent.
Well, that's been your Blood and Bandage MMA podcast for this week, guys, and your review of UFC on Vegas 15. As I say, keep an eye on the pages, and we will talk to you during the week on the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast. Good luck.
Ciao.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk or what? What's going on?
This is bullshit.
Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I pulled that sumbitch out and I beat him over the head with it.
You can't stop us at Beer Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
If he was a girl, you would say he has a badonkadonk.
I'm cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
This is #1 bullshit.
I'm not impressed by your performance. I'm the man of the hour, Joe. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. I'm the women's pick. I'm the men's regret. And if you win against Chael Sonnen, you made a bad bet. Mandalay Silva. 6 feet tall and 205 pounds. Boy, until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high.
Where you at, McNugget, you fucking piece of shit? I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You're listening to the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast.
Hey,